All right, welcome to Rewriting Reality. I am Shiraz, your reality interventionist, and I broke my arm. Yep, I broke my arm. So, how did that happen? Okay, I was walking the dog, and he's off sniffing on something, and for some reason, he got excited about something. I think it was a scent because I didn't see any squirrels or stuff, and then he suddenly just cut in front of me. Our legs got tangled up. I went over, smacked onto the pavement, and it didn't actually hurt, but I'm like, okay, that was silly. And I tried to lift myself up and I heard a little crunch going on there. I'm like, oh, great, my arm's broken. So, and apparently the cat has decided she wants to be part of the show. Are you good? Okay. This is midnight. Midnight. We're doing a show now. Can I do the show? Because I got a cool guest coming up. Do you want to meet the guest? So this week we have, ouch, oh, claws, ow, okay. Raquel Soto, who is your GPS to success. Now, as a business coach specializing in helping female high achievers create a sustainable and fulfilling life, Raquel helps you to reach your full potential. Balancing work and family life can be challenging, but as a single mom of 3, she understands how to navigate those challenges with success. With her guidance, you can tap into your unique gifts and talents to create a life that aligns with your values and goals. God believes that by connecting with our inner wisdom of being of service to others, you can not only create financial abundance, but also make a positive impact in the world. So, welcome, Raquel.
Thank you so much for inviting me to your show. I appreciate it.
Oh, it's my pleasure. We were actually having a conversation the other day, and then it's just like, hey, you want to be on my show? Sure. You want to be on my show? Sure. So that just happened.
And that's part of wealth, right? Finding yourself at the right place at the right time with the right people, doing the right things. I always say in the right order because that matters too. Sometimes we know what to do, but if we do things in the wrong order, we don't get the results that we want to see. And so that's equally important.
It is. And we've got some people saying happy Monday. And is there a better day to rewrite your reality than today? Nope. Let's do it. And Jessica, this comment, what in the world? Are you not following me on Facebook? Like there's a whole live and stuff going on. Just, this should not be news. And here we go. Raquel is demonstrating her own GPS to success. Nice. So I think everyone's curious. What does that mean?
It really means that I help you to navigate. You know how, especially for entrepreneurs, they're like, what is that catchy thing that you could tell people? And I remember one coach, when I was telling her what I do, she said, okay, you want to connect it to something that people are already used to. So when they think about that thing, they think about you. And she's like, and what you really help people to do is navigate through those things in order for them to be successful. So I said, oh, like a GPS? And she said, yes. So I was like, oh, your GPS for success then? And she's like, yes. So that's how that came about because I really helped people navigate. They already have the success inside of them, right? They already have everything they need. I call it wired for success in order for them to be successful. And it's really about being able to activate those things within yourself, being able to recognize your own talents and your gifts. And that, people sometimes they say like, this is an abundant world. And then they see the abundance and then they get scared. And so how do you tap into the juiciness of you? Because all you need to actually do the next step, you already have. So I help people to connect with that. I really just, a lot of people come to me when they're burned out or almost burned out, filled with anxiety, or they're doing this cha-cha of 2 steps forward and 1 step back. And that's one of my specialties. Like once I break through, I never go back. And so people who can create wealth but they can't hold on to it, or they can get people to go out with them but they can't hold on to that either. So they come to me when they don't want to do the cha-cha anymore and they really just want to advance and hold.
That sounds like a good plan. And one of the things that you said just really stuck out with me. These people are looking for abundance, but then when they see the abundance, they get scared. Why are they getting scared if they're getting the very thing that they're looking for?
A lot of it has to do with hidden belief systems, right? So our brain, what you hear about the brain is not incorrect or it's incomplete. So they'll say, oh, the brain wants to keep you safe. No, it actually keeps you contained. It keeps you contained into your own belief system. So if there are some erroneous belief systems that you're not aware of, then you'll get scared. They'll say like, oh, you have to move past this, the comfort zone. And even the about the comfort zone is not is not correct either. It's incomplete. It's not the fullness of it. Your brain loves homeostasis, but all it's doing, it's offering you a thought, and it's looking for the last 60 or 90 days of the things that you've been thinking about. And
Hmm.
so if your thoughts have been around advancing the last 60 or 90 days, when the opportunities come up, it will like, oh, here's an offer. Do you want this thought? And it's up to us to really start to, and that's one of the things I help my clients with, is that no thought is innocent. It's actually going to activate a life cycle or a death cycle. And all your brain is doing is offering your thought. And we get to choose, do we want to take it? Because when we take it, it goes back to our brain. It says, I'm going to make this neural pathway stronger.
Yeah.
Or we can say, you know what? I'm going to start thinking differently. And now it's like, wait a minute. that
Really?
that's going to cost me more energy. I'm trying to keep you alive. I'm trying to keep you within your own belief system right now. Really, maybe you should take this offer. And it's like, no, this is what we're doing, brain. Like I call my brain Ronnie, which is short for Veronica. It means to image. And I'm like, Ronnie, we're not doing that. We're doing this now. And this is the thing, is like awareness is grace. And so when you're having these negative thoughts come up, it's really understanding, oh, you're in a grace moment. This is beautiful. It's wonderful. Embrace the negative so
Hmm.
that you can dismantle the lie that's coming up. Because there's a lie that you believe, which is why it's coming up. It's time for you to deal with that. And so, with all those things, it's understanding that you have so much power that has been given to you by the Creator. And
Hmm.
all you have to do is take a little, it doesn't even take that long, a few minutes to dismantle the lie or even to question it. Where is this coming from?
Hmm.
I noticed like when I started to pay attention, like when I would get a negative thought out of the blue,
Yeah.
I noticed like it was something like I saw 20 minutes ago. So it can be like something that you saw that you were scrolling on social media 20 minutes ago, something that you heard on the radio, a show, and it triggers something, but it took 20 minutes for it to come into your awareness. So
Hmm.
just even pausing and remember, if you don't remember anything else that I'm saying, when you have the negative thought, don't run, embrace,
Yeah.
because that's actually your moment to rewire your brain. Words matter because they become matter, literally. First in your neural pathways, and then your brain starts to offer you thoughts. So when you're having a thought, just like, oh, do I want that in my reality? Because your brain is, and we know this, we're all here, we know that the brain is running 95% of the show. 95% of the show we're subconscious, and yet we're allowing the brain to run it like a 3-year-old. It's like, no, I'm the boss. You're gonna do what I tell you to do. And if we're having a negative thought, oh, where's that coming from? Do I want that? Do I want to continue to believe it?
Hmm.
And eventually, what happens is that as you are choosing the better thought, your brain will fight you at first because, again, it's trying to keep you alive. But it's like, okay, if this is where we're going, when it goes back into your brain, it starts creating new neural pathways after a while. This is that 21-day rule.
Hmm.
21 days, it doesn't create a habit, it creates momentum. And after 21 days of doing the same kind of work, choosing the new thought, the better thought, the one that's going to serve you, when those circumstances come up and you get triggered, it'll, because that new thought is in the long-term memory, that's the new thoughts it starts to offer you. So it's just like a 2-minute thing. As your negative thoughts come up, embrace them, question them. Where did I get this from?
Yeah.
And is this the truth? Do I want to continue to have this in my life? And if the answer is no, then just take a new thought. Is it that simple? Yes, because it levels the playing field. Doesn't matter how smart you are. It doesn't matter how dumb you are. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what your background is. It doesn't matter. And as a single mom of 3, and I will be a triple minority because I'm Puerto Rican, I'm a woman, and I'm a single mom. I
Okay.
never saw myself as disenfranchised though, because part of that's the way my parents groomed us, my sister and I. But the other part of that is just like, and so that those are
Yeah.
my superpowers, because that's the reality in my head. That's not me being a single mom is not a detriment. I learned so many things being a single mom. Me being a woman, me being Latina, those things help shape my worldview. So I don't see it as being disenfranchised.
Thanks. That's very powerful statements there. So, a couple of things that came up when you were talking, when you said that you saw something and then 20 minutes later it registers in your conscious mind. I remember watching a video of these people that are asked to come doing some work at an advertising firm. They had to come up with a campaign. And they did several groups of people and they put them in the room and they came up with the campaign. And then when it came time to show the campaign, the advertising firm showed their ideas for the campaign. And it was almost identical to the thing that the person came up with, each of the groups. And what it turned out was that they had them all at the same hotel, and they had them drive to the advertising firm, passing by elements that would be in the advertising campaign.
Mm.
They'd have like panda bears and flowers and the certain numbers, and so these things were being put into the subconscious. So 20 minutes later, when they said, "Now come up with a campaign," that's just amazing. Like that was a live demo of what you just said. So,
Mm-hmm. And that's the thing is like when you're thinking about our brain, right? It's trying to process. It was like when I did the numbers because I like sexy numbers. It's like show me some of the science so my brain doesn't self-sabotage me. That it's trying to process over 15 billion bits of data every
wow.
single day. So what is that? That's 1.875 gigabytes that your brain is trying to process that is coming through the eye gate and the ear gate. So when we say things like, well, words don't matter, everything's words. We get married, we get divorced, we get mortgage, we get credit. Like this whole, we say, I love you, we say, I hate you. So everything is made up of words, a story that we believe or a story that we want to partake in. So that's why words are so important. And your brain is just listening, right? It's like every 10 seconds. And that's the other thing every 10 seconds, your brain is checking in with the voice of your mind, which is the voice of your mindset. So is mindset everything? 100%. Because it's like, how do you feel about yourself right now? And what is the belief system that matches? Oh, is that the way you want to go? So you're like, why is it that I keep on self-sabotaging myself? Because there's a belief system in there. And once you start to rewire it, you'll find yourself then in the different places and the spaces and doing the different things organically. So it doesn't have to be hard. You don't have to put your will in because the will is really just a choice. Your will, the act of your will is choice. And you can choose that within, the next 21 days, your life is going to be different because you're going to choose one thought that's going to be helpful to move you forward in whatever space that's in.
Wow. And one thing you said that just scared me. You said your choice will take you either into a life cycle or a death cycle.
Mm-hmm.
What's a death cycle?
That's that destruction, right? Worry, fear, anxiety. It's going to self-sabotage you. So instead of building, so that's why people have this cha-cha. We're like, oh, I can make a lot of money and then I can't hold it. And then things just happen. And like all of a sudden my car breaks down. All of a sudden all these things happen. And we think that it almost sounds like magical, like we're like we're doing things. But what happens is that because our brain is so strong, but it's our helper. And so it's like, if this is your belief, I will pull you into the things that will make you right. Your brain doesn't care. What it's doing is it's always looking for truth, not the truth you believe for you. So that's why it was like, I want to live in my truth. We're always living in our truth. That's our belief system. So to say you want to live in your truth is actually, you're asking for a chair you're already sitting in. You're always living in your truth because your brain wants to keep you in your truth, your belief system. So if you're having these erroneous belief systems that you're not dealing with, I was a victim of toxic positivity. So I know about what I'm talking about. And you're suppressing these things and not dealing with them, not knowing that you have so much power to rewire those things. What happens is that you physically, your brain will be like, oh, there's an opportunity to make you right. And so it'll cause you to make a bad decision monetarily. And then you're like, see, this always happens. I had a client And she's like, this always happens. Money comes in and then something happens. I'm always even Steven. I said, do you understand that you're actually causing the even Steven? And she's like, wait, what? And it felt so natural because it was happening all the time. And she
Yep.
was always grateful that money was there.
Yep.
So she would make the money will come in, and then literally a couple of days later, something will happen. And she's like, oh, I'm always even Steven. At least I have the money. And I'm like, yeah, but wouldn't it be nice that those things don't continue to happen? And
Yes.
she had to connect all the stories. And she's like, wait, am I causing this? And those are the things like you're like, well, how did I cause my car to break down? It's really not seeing that your car needed some kind of maintenance. You were blinded to it.
Yep.
And then because it wasn't taken care of, the car broke down.
Yep.
Now, is everything 100%? No. But it's like 99% of the things that are happening in your personal life, you have so much control because it's your thoughts. You have control over your thoughts. That activates your emotions, and your emotions is the fuel for the actions. But if you have the wrong thoughts, it's going to then eventually cause you, right? Because your brain is your helper. It's like, oh, here you go. Here's your GPS. This is the way we're going. You're not going to like it, but this is what you believe. So let me make you right.
And being right is more important than anything else.
Yes.
Okay.
It's your helper. It's trying to help you.
You actually reminded me of one of my coaches. I remember him saying that at any given time, he's got 5 businesses going. And always one person in one of those businesses is trying to screw him over. Right. And that was the story. And you could identify when I was running these 5 companies, it was this one. When I was running these 5 companies, it was this one. And that's like what you were talking about. I always break even Steven. This guy's like, oh, one person's always trying to screw me over. So.
Well, it's like I deal with women who, who also want love, right? They're high achieving women, and they're like, "How do I find love?" And I said, "Okay, if you've been telling a story to yourself that all men are this, really, have you met 4 billion men?" It's like you're running a script about all men are this, and so, or this always happens to me. So in the beginning is always great. So then you end up being magnetized to somebody who would make you right. And until you change the script, it's your story. You get to write the script. And when you start to rewire that inside of you and emotionally regulate, so that way your emotions are not going all nuts on you and putting you into chemical chaos, then you'll be able to, there's a lot of good people out there. So it's like sometimes it's a good person, but not a good match. So then you're able to discern that as well.
Wow. Okay. Cool. So we're about to discover a little bit of what Raquel does, because if you are a regular to the show, you know how it works. She's here, we get to know her a little bit, and now she's going to coach me. And about what, I'm not sure yet. But what are we going to do, Raquel?
Well, I'll just ask you a couple questions. Now that you're aware, right? Every 10 seconds is a time for a reset.
Okay.
What is a new story that you want? What is it that I know you're expert in shifting realities.
Yeah.
But what is the reality that you're working on, and what is the story that you want to tell yourself?
I don't know if we can cover the exact story I want to tell myself, which is my arm is no longer broken. I think we need to work more business related. So.
But no, I mean, that's good too, right? Because our bodies are made to self-heal.
Yep.
And sometimes when we're putting more focus on it, it'll heal faster. So sometimes people will see a miracle, and miracles is the natural process just sped up.
Okay.
So it's one of those things. You can see yourself every 10 seconds, seeing yourself back to normal. So you're remembering how it feels when you were doing certain activities, maybe not walking your dog, because maybe that'll be a bad trigger, but something else that, involved that arm, and then telling your brain. So there's this thing that you can do, the Spiegel eye roll. And so it's a way for you to go into self-hypnosis. And so the Spiegel eye roll is when you're looking and you will have your eyes closed, or and live, it'll look freaky when you're doing it. You're looking in between your eyebrows, and it starts to put you into self-hypnosis. So it starts to connect your conscious and unconscious together.
Okay.
And then during that time, you just take like a minute or two and you're seeing yourself well. And this will work for anything. You're
Okay.
purposely playing the story, and you'll find that your body is taking over. And maybe if you want to give your brain a name,
Hmm.
and we're like, this is our reality. Healing is speeding up. I'm not gonna, it's not gonna take 6 weeks for this to heal. And
Okay.
seeing those activities, like, we know that what's coming up, Thanksgiving. So before Thanksgiving, maybe within a couple of weeks time, it actually helps to heal the process. So even if it's this, right, because this does impact your business, because if you're in pain, you might have to take medication, and if you're taking medication, maybe your thought process isn't as fast. So it works really for everything. It allows your body to do what it's naturally good at, which is to heal itself. And so
Hmm.
if you're doing that, there's also, you can do tapping, which is EFTs, it's emotional freedom technique.
Yeah.
Telling yourself the story, I'm healed, so you're tapping up here and here between your eyes. And you can look it up on YouTube. I also have things on my YouTube channel. So I tend to just, like, if I'm doing something, I'm telling myself the story, and I tap on my collarbone and I
Okay.
just tell myself the story. And what that's doing is that it's helping you to emotionally regulate and to embody your thought. So when the negative thought, like, oh my gosh, I can't, this is uncomfortable and it feels like it's taking forever. Like, no, I'm going to take my thought captive.
Yeah.
And what do I want to tell my body? I bless it. You're awesome. You're created to heal yourself. I'm so thankful that you're doing what you need to do. Everything is being reset, perfectly. The doctors are amazed, and like seeing the conversation with your doctor, you can close your eyes and do tapping and look up here for the speaker eye roll. And when it's connecting, sometimes people's eyes, they flicker, they flutter a little bit.
Yeah.
And then you just relax them. You just tell yourself a story. What story do you want to believe about your arm? That's, you're not in pain, or it can even be as simple as, like, it's doing its process, and that you don't have to take any medication because it doesn't even hurt.
Okay. And so I can do this for my arm, but other people can do this for my business is just flowing and I have lots of clients.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And then some people, they get stuck because they're like, I don't have a lot of clients.
Yeah.
And I had a coach tell me, and that was really helpful. And she said, if you had one sale, that's proof that you can have 1,000.
Hmm.
That means that idea is viable. So that's all the evidence that you need. Did somebody buy it? Did anybody say anything about what you're doing that they loved? That's your proof. And so then you're like, oh, I'm already fruitful, right? Because there's proof of the things that you're doing. How can I now multiply it? It's like, that is my proof. And then again, telling yourself this story. Because I already sold it one, I can sell it. I have the capacity to sell 1,000. And sometimes it's using the word, using the words that feel good to you in the moment. Because
Yeah.
if you're saying, I am making 1,000 sales, and your brain is like, here's a thought. No, you ain't, liar, liar, pants on fire. And then if you take that thought, you're like, well, maybe I can't do this. And your brain's like, okay, let me offer you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of all the reasons you're right of why you can't. It's just helping
Okay.
you. So you're like, oh no, I have the capacity. Then your brain's like, we have the capacity. I can buy into that and not, give you any resistance. So it's, again, choosing the words that feel good to you that will help bridge you to get there. Sometimes you can't say I am that thing yet, and that's okay. What can you buy into? What is a thought that you can take to be like, no, I have the capacity to do this? And then remembering the testimonials of your people, whether it was paid or not. Even in the free things, right? You're on social media, shows like this, and people are like, oh my gosh, I love this. I got this and this and this out of it. That's all proof. It's all proof of your zone of genius. So remind yourself of the zone of genius. You're like, oh no, I've been fruitful. I'm in the process and in the phase of multiplication. It's a
Okay.
different story.
So I get that. I think what I'm wondering is when, like, and first of all, I love how you sort of sneak it in there. So you can't say I have 1,000 clients, but I have the capacity to get 1,000 clients. Oh yeah, that sneaks in. The brain accepts that. So then you just build from there. However, I know a lot of people are going to get stuck on the nitty gritty. It's like, okay, I have the capacity. Where am I going to find them, Raquel? Like, what's going on? How do I make sure they close the sale? Like all those arguments come up from the subconscious, and then they just get expressed. And I've found when I work with people, and sometimes it's just this word vomit, but.
It's exactly. And so it's okay. It's like saying, oh, that's a good question. The how will present itself.
Mhm.
And then the brain's like, oh. And then you can think about how your other people were found. Again, reminding yourself of the stories. How did people find the show and they got something out of it? How did they experience you already? And then retelling it's like, oh, this is already proof. Your brain just wants evidence. So give it to it. In my case, her. Give it to her. Give it to her. And she'll stop fussing with you. It's like, oh, well, how can I? That's logical. How can I argue with that? And it's again like just even right taking the thought. That's a belief system. The
Mhm.
how will present itself. I don't have to worry about the how. I can choose that because I've decided this is where we're going.
Yeah.
The roadmap will show up. And if there's going to be a detour or a delay up ahead, then my brain is going to help me to see it ahead of time. And now, it's okay if you have to go the long way around. The time's going to pass anyway. so if the time's going to pass anyway, you might as well go for what you want.
Time's going to pass anyway. So okay, so some people aren't doing it because it's not happening fast enough. So they end up doing nothing because the thing they wanted to do wasn't fast enough. And then eventually it's more time than it would have taken anyway, and you haven't done anything.
Yes.
So
what happens is that I call it the 4 stage of manifestation. So the first one is when things are not happening is look at what you don't understand. So understanding is the first stage. There might be just a question that you haven't asked in order for you to get understanding to move forward. The second one is where a lot of people get stuck is Danny Johnson used to call it. I remember when she said this, sometimes people say things just like it becomes a permanent post-it in your head. And she said, the worst thing about success is a little bit. So what happens is that you'll get some quick wins and you're like, this is great. I'm on my way. But because you didn't root it in, not even recognize, I was asking, I was just like, why is this some things like happening faster, even for me? And I tend to like manifest fast. And it was just like, oh, because you've been shallow. And I'm like, I'm not a shallow person. What are you talking about, Jesus? And then it's like, I didn't sit in it long enough. Sometimes even like doing this thought work, right? How are you really allowing things to root in? And if you're not allowing the things to root in, when life happens, even if like the cares of this world, which is the third stage, life happens, but we're adults. So, we have to be adulting. And those things can choke out if you don't build those systems. So as you are thinking about those things, right? What are your systems? Have you built systems for yourself for the growth that you're asking for? How are you really organizing your time? Most people, their social media or their reading or Netflix or whatever else they're doing, it's like 153 minutes a day. Can you tithe back that time? So now you have 15 minutes to purposely think about your business so that you're rooting it in. And in the mindset work, right? You're thinking about the mindset work on purpose because the mindset matters. Again, every 10 seconds, your brain's checking in. So if you are not giving it something to think about and to go toward, it'll just go rogue. It'll pull you back because you're like, oh, you're not serious. You don't really want this. Or I don't really want to do it for you because that takes a lot of energy on my part. And I don't want to give you my quantum energy to go do this. So it's almost like your brain's your business partner saying, prove to me that you want it and then I'll help you. But I'm not going to help you unless you put some time in, even if it's just 15 minutes.
So most people, what you're saying is that even though they might have success, they're just going through their routine, not anchoring in those successes to create more and bigger successes. It's just like, yeah, I got one, but I still have this to do. Oh, that was great, but I still have to do this to do. And so you're not changing the thought patterns at all. You're just locked in this busyness.
Yeah.
Oh.
And like, I'm a project person. So I was going from project to project. The project would go well. And I'm like, next. And I was like, oh, next, I'm a multi-passionate person. I have a lot of things going on. I have a lot of, little areas that I'm working on. And there was like some areas I'm like, it's moving forward, but it was like a snail. I'm like, what is
Mm.
happening here? Why is this so slow? And it's like, oh, because I didn't do what I was telling you. It's like Dr. Heal yourself. Why don't you take
Yeah.
your own advice and take some time to root it in and start to do the mindset work so it can work faster, because we have all this quantum energy that's available to us in our brain. And I'm just going, my brain's like, oh, we're used to this. That project went well. These people were served. Good job. Let's go. Like even in my business, and that happened to me this morning. I was coaching myself and I was like, why can't I? It's like there was a plateau. And I've been saying this all along. I said, I don't worry about money. I never do, because money always shows up. I always
Mm.
have more than enough. But see,
Nice.
that was a good story that served me,
Yeah.
but it's not serving me now in my business, because money comes from everywhere. So whether it comes to my business or something or other parts in my life,
Yeah.
I never worry about it. So
Okay.
for me making like a business goal, like for money or like for events or anything I'm doing, I was like, why isn't this like breaking through for me
Mm.
yet? What's the lie I'm believing? It's like, oh, it's not a lie. It's that you're connecting the more than enough. So you always have more than enough, but you always have more than enough. Not necessarily the goal, because
Yeah.
I don't make my goals in my business based on revenue. I base it on transformation.
Okay.
And that's why the money always comes. So it's like, oh, it was just like this one little tweak this
Yeah.
morning. And it totally freed me up to be able to now have receive the capacity for more, because I'm not just thinking of more than enough. I'm always abundant. I always have more than enough. Money always shows up. I'm not
Okay.
worried about that. But it's like, okay, how do I serve more people? And I'm
Mm.
like, okay, as I'm serving more people, can I do it in free things? 100%. There are some things that I understand people have to put some skin in the game.
Yeah.
So if I want to serve them at that capacity, then I have to start holding the vision for them at that capacity so
Yeah.
that they can come in.
Okay. Ooh. So, and wait a sec. You said that that happened this morning, that tweak?
Yes.
Wow. Okay. And it just goes to show, because like we're doing the work and we still have to keep tweaking and tweaking and tweaking. And you're dedicated to doing the tweaks. You're not at this place, well, I got to figure it out. I'm making money.
Yeah.
And I love the distinction you had there. It's in that it's not serving my business to grow if money's coming from all these different directions and not specifically in the business, right? So
Yeah, exactly. So I was like, oh, and I had up to this morning a hard time connecting that, because there are so many people who really connect. And there's nothing wrong with that, because that's the way they're built, right? So that's how they're
yeah,
wired to succeed. So I don't get offended by that. But since I always lead with nurture and transformation, it was just really difficult for my brain to get on board with connecting it to revenue, because I'm like, I don't want to. that's that's not why I'm doing what I'm doing. It's not for money. It's because I love it. It's because I want to
yeah,
help people. But it was just like the little tweak is like, you're not helping people if you're not creating the capacity for it. You have to be more than enough here, even though it is, but it's still like where I see this going, where I know that I'm being taken. I need to hold a bigger vision and just really
yeah,
disconnect that the revenue part is just one component of it, but it's not
yeah,
my driver. And but I still need it, because it does offer me then more open doors. So the doors that I'm asking for is like the doors right there, but you need to get on board. The doors are open, but you're still sitting in your little prison chair, like this is fine, everything's comfortable, and it's like no, it's not comfortable.
okay. Yeah, actually, one of my coaches actually did the statistics on it. 2 years of looking at the numbers, and found out that generally speaking, of course, there's exceptions both ways. Men are about the dollars and the bottom line. Women are about the impact they're having on others and connection. So
Yes.
it makes sense that looking at the numbers isn't going to help you.
Yeah.
Looking at your impact is.
Yes. And that's the thing, is like bridging those two things. We need to have the open-heartedness to create the community, because people are craving connection and community, which is something inherently women are pretty good at.
Yeah.
But we also need the other part of it. And so many women that I used to work with before, when I used to just focus on spiritual entrepreneurs, and a lot of them were women, it was just like, yeah, but that's not what I'm doing it. So it's really hard to connect that part. And then we make up these, these labels. I don't like that bro marketing. I don't like to do all this stuff. And I
Yeah.
was like, yeah, but we need both. We need to be able to make that as part of the markers that we're
Yeah.
making a mark, because that's all it is. It's just one aspect. It's not the whole thing, but it's one aspect, and it's an important one, because then when we walk into a room and people see the success, sometimes people need to see the visual of it. Then it's great that I have all these stories, and lots of lives were changed. I mean, people were having, like, finding people, finally having a baby, like having that career breakthrough.
Yeah.
But if it's smaller, if people know your name, then the name of the game then is influence. So you
Mm.
want to be at the top of your game so that you can influence wherever you're at. What is the culture? Like, my thing is, like, I want to bring the culture of heaven wherever I'm at. Are they feeling loved? Are they feeling seen? Are they feeling empowered? Do they have some
Mm.
tools so they can feel like the badass that they are and go run and go run and do something with it? So it's like all those things, because I want to influence people, and I can't influence who I'm called to influence if I'm myself thinking everything is just, it's, me and my four no more. That's never about abundance. We're always thinking about ourselves. So, like, okay, I need to hold the vision bigger and really disconnect that, yes, I always have more than enough and money always comes in. But right
Yeah.
now I need to really treat my business like as though it's the only thing, even though I know it's not.
Okay.
Because it's like keeping it healthy. I
Yeah.
have to keep it healthy and expanding, just like I'm healthy and expanding. That's an extension of who I am. And I don't think I was seeing it that way until this morning, that it's really an extension of who I am in that aspect when it comes to money.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Well, thank you so much. And we're going to go take a short commercial break. And then when we come back, I'm going to coach Raquel. We'll see how that turns out. All right. So we'll be back in just a minute.
Breakthroughs are about more than you might think. They're about discovering who you are, digging deep, reaching to the core of your soul. They're about healing yourself, understanding your beliefs, creating a ripple effect. And it's not just those initial moments that matter. It's about using them to bring more joy into our own lives and the lives of others. It's about having fun, letting loose, enjoying every moment life has to offer. It's about finding a safe space. It's about creating connection. Join us each and every day for exclusive programming, special events, and a community to call home, where we invite you to explore, change the way you look at and live your life, and go beyond the breakthrough. So we ask you, are you ready? We'll see you online at thebreakthroughshow.com.
All right. We are back. And Raquel, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. For people that haven't seen the show before, what's about to happen is we're going to have a discussion about something she wants to shift in her life, whether it's bigger success, it could be an illness, it could be a relationship. And when I talk to Raquel, I can tell when her conscious beliefs match her unconscious beliefs. So whenever they don't match, I'm going to say that's not coming up true. And from there, we're going to dig down to find out what is the story running in her unconscious mind that's saying, nope, I don't like this idea at all. And when we find the story, I'm going to say, are you willing to step out of that story? If Raquel says yes, and she means it, and I can tell she means it, it's going to shift in that moment. And by shift, what I mean is there's a shift in energy. There's a release of that old belief. There's also a rewiring of the neural pathways so that she can step into a new way of thinking. And this is everything she's been talking about is what we're thinking. All that subconscious thinking is determining everything. So when that happens, I tend to yawn and cough. So be prepared for that. And we're just going to go for that for like a little while and see how it goes. So Raquel, what do you want to work on?
Well, really, just like what I was saying, right? I had a bad habit of going from project to project, and the second stage of allowing what like the aha moment was for me to root in, because it's a brand new neural pathway that's being created, and so I want to make sure to take advantage of this time together. We're like, no, this happened today because it's like, see, that's part of being at the right place at the right time. I was going to be with you today, so everything is like, oh, this is my other helper. So help me to root that truth in. What was happening for me this morning?
So let's start with the basic question. Do you want to root those new truths in?
Yes.
That's not entirely true. Okay. So what could happen is your mind is like, okay, but how do we know it's the right truth to root in? What if we choose the wrong truth? Like, what if we screw up and make things worse?
Yeah.
Okay. So are you willing to step out of the story that it's better not to root a truth in case it's the wrong truth?
Almost feels like that's not a very good answer. It's like, I guess. Like I'm mentally ascending, say yes, but my body's going.
No. Because I mean, if you do manage to anchor in the wrong truth, you still can change it. You can unanchor it and put something else in. So it's better to do it and find out whether it's right or wrong than to just not do it and stay stuck the way you are all the time.
Yeah.
And I know you get this. I'm trying to make sure the people at home are like, oh crap, yeah, I get that. So
no, we can get so busy in helping other people that we don't take the time to help ourselves here. Yeah.
So let's try it. Are you willing to step out of the story that it's better not to anchor in a truth in case it's the wrong truth?
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah. There's some energy.
I felt the wave. I was like, ooh, that was juicy.
Yeah. That was a big one. And this is the cool thing, because you know what you should be doing. It's clear to you, and your unconscious mind is still like, yeah, no. Like, well, it was. Now we had the shift. Now it's moving into alignment with you.
Yeah. Oh man, it's just like I can feel it as like energy waves. I don't know how to explain it for people who haven't experienced something like that, but you know, like when you finally feel like a lot of calm, and you can feel like almost like cool water. Yeah, it's just very relaxing.
Okay. And the other thing that's what you just said, just sort of the energy in it piqued me there. Are you supposed to take care of everyone else over yourself?
The mentally ascending answer is no. But those are things that I'm still balancing out, because there is this, it's both, right? It's like I know that the oxygen mask, right? And I teach that you have to have some level of self-love.
Yes.
Because in order for us to love our neighbors, people will say, love your neighbors. I'm like, yeah, the rest of that is as yourself. So if you don't know how to love yourself properly, then you can't really love people at that capacity. But being groomed for decades over not thinking of yourself first to think of somebody else. And there is wisdom in that, and a place for that. But it was, again, out of context. So if it goes to one extreme, right? whenever you go into an extreme, there's error there. And so I'm still, releasing the error of how I grew up.
Yeah. And it's when you talk about context, I remember just recently I found out that I've been telling people, you've heard that saying, it's better to give than receive. And no, like it's equally great to give and receive. But I just found out the phrase was actually, it's better to be in a position to give than to receive. So it's better to be wealthy so you can give.
Yes. Yeah. And that makes a whole difference.
Oh, yeah. Right. So, okay. So are you a bad person if you don't put other people before yourself?
Not bad, but I was groomed to believe selfish and self-centered.
Yeah, that's coming up true. So are you willing to step out of the story that you're selfish if you don't put other people before you?
Why am I getting the words not yet?
Not yet. Okay. Are you willing to step out of the story that being selfish is always a bad thing?
Oh, yes. Yeah.
That one's moving. Good.
It flutters. It's almost like going, bye-bye.
Yeah. Because I can remember some times where I'm like, it's Saturday night, relaxing, watching a movie with some friends, and one of my clients has texted me, and I'm like, it's not your time. It's Saturday night. Come on.
Yeah. Healthy boundaries are important.
Yeah. So definitely, I'm going to be selfish. I'm going to take care of me, and if they keep calling, I'm like, if it's that bad, go to a hospital. Because there's nothing with me coaching you on how to run your business that could be such an emergency that on a Saturday night you need to solve it.
That's what I tell people. I'm like, if you're not a judge and somebody on death row or an attorney to help somebody, you don't need to talk to me right now.
That's it. Okay. So now, are you willing to step out of the story that if you don't put others before yourself, you're a bad person or you're a selfish person?
The word that's coming up is easier. It's easier. It's not like a full yes, but it's like, yeah, it's easier.
It's easier to put yourself first, or it's easier to put them first?
Easier to put myself first. Like my body's still like not fully in, but it knows it's almost like I know that's what I'm supposed to do because it's healthy.
Yep. Okay, so here's what's coming up for me. If they do something stupid and you didn't help them, is it your fault?
Oh. I'm like yes and no. I think I know that people have their own, mentally ascending. I know that they have a choice to make.
Yep.
And I can't help everybody.
Yep.
And that's not really my job. Then I become somebody's God, and that's not. I have zero interest in it.
Good.
Interest. Yeah, I have zero interest.
Okay. So then, are you willing to step out of the story that if they do something stupid and you didn't help, it's your fault?
Yeah, it's not my fault.
Ooh. Wow, it's another big one. Okay, how's that feeling?
Really peaceful.
Yay.
I feel very peaceful, really grateful too. It's like, oh, you created a space where I feel safe to be vulnerable in front of a bunch of people I don't know. Yeah, so it's good. It feels like, oh, my clients say that of me, so it's nice. I'm like, oh, this is what they mean.
Yeah.
So yeah, I feel very peaceful.
Yep. And there are going to be people that are watching this now and watching this later on that are needed that shift for themselves. Oh, and that's one thing I guess I should have mentioned. if you're watching at home and you've got the same thing, that when I say you're willing to step out of the story, you can say yes, it's going to shift for you because you're the ones doing the shifting. So if you weren't doing that, rewind, watch it again, say yes. Okay. Is anything else coming up for you?
No, I really feel like it feels like I'm sitting at a beach in a hammock.
Oh,
I'm so relaxed right now.
I wish I was sitting at a beach in a hammock.
My body, my whole system, I can feel it's just like so relaxed and
Nice.
peaceful. And now out of this peaceful state, I can go help people. But
Yay.
first, hammock time.
Hammock time. Hammock time. Okay. So then we'll get to a wrap up. Actually, before we get to a wrap up, I have the calendar here. So coming up on the Breakthrough Network this week, we have Project Joy live Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 9 a.m. We have a cat telling me I have to put food in her dish. Shush. He's just really insistent. We have spirit sessions Sunday afternoon at noon every week. And I'm looking, and if you're in the community, there's so much going on. We have community fitness hours every morning at 7:15 a.m. We have Pomodoro Biz co-working sessions where you get in a group and you just say, okay, let's do a run of getting stuff done in our businesses, and you've got the community to support you. You've got Brittany Floyd's creative consultation hours. More community fitness at noon each day. And what else? Neurographic art for relaxation and intention. Oh my God, there is so much going on in this community this week. So check out the shows online, become a part of the community, and it's just really going to enhance your life and your business to have all this support around you. So before I let you go, Raquel, how do people get in touch with you if they would like for you to be their GPS for success?
They can go to yourgpsforsuccess.net. That's the best place for you to go because it has all my links on there, like a little link tree for you. Connect with me on Facebook and all the juicy things that I'm currently doing. You'll be able to connect with me through that.
All right. And we'll make sure that's in the show notes. So do you have any final words of wisdom for our audience before we go?
Yes, that your negative thoughts is just a thought. And it's just an offer. And you can choose to take it or leave it. You can choose. And so when they come up, stop beating yourself up. You're fine. You're normal when you're having those negative thoughts. It's just your brain trying to help you. And you can shift how that's going to play out.
Sweet. I love it. Great way to end the show. Thank you so much, Raquel, and thank you guys for watching. We'll be back next month. It'll be the final episode of the year because I don't do Decembers. This usually falls in around Christmas, and I don't want to work around Christmas. Okay, so all right. See you soon.